Hi there folks, thanks for joining us. We just did this clip with these small bowls that I was doing that white slit. You remember I showed you? The hakami and brushing on white slip in a random kind of loose way. I wanted actually to, those flower pots that we made just together just the other day, which are some of them getting off quite hard here. So what we want to do is I actually want to brush over some terracotta slip on the outside of those flower pots. So let's move the camera in and we'll do that. Weather is very dry here, everything is drying at an alarming rate, I have to say. So yeah, so you can see over there I've got those flower pots. I've had them under some plastic, but you know, there's been a bit of a breeze, blown the plastic up, and so they've got a bit dry. Here on the edges, you see. Okay, now the idea is that we want to just thumb these off quickly, if they'll allow me to, because they've got pretty dry, but these ones are just about allowing me to. But you know what? The secret, I've got a nice bevel on the bottom there, so the thumbing off is very easy. You notice there's got a hole in the bottom for drainage, very important. Also the bottom sufficiently thick so just thumbing these guys off. You can do that with a sponge just to facilitate that, so it's a little bit easier for your finger to slide around the bases. I did, after we finished that clip, I did one more here, a bigger one. This is like 4 pounds or so, and so there they are. Let's get them here. I've got some terracotta slip. We'll get that. Just adjust the camera so you can see. Yeah, like about there. So now, as I told you, these flower pots are actually made out of regular stoneware. I mean, you're probably going to say, well Simon, well why didn't you make them out of terracotta to begin with? Saved yourself a lot of trouble. Well, truth was I didn't have any terracotta, so this is just a quick makeshift idea to turn ordinary stoneware clay into a terracotta look-alike. Okay, and it's pretty easy. Now some of the bases here I've noticed are alright, we'll deal with that. Some of the bases push up a bit, so we have to push them down, otherwise they will rock. We don't want that. So yeah, what I've got here is a brew. All it is I had some terracotta clay in a bag, and I simply took it and dried it in the sun, an amount that I thought was an appropriate amount. And after I dried it, I put it with water, let it slake down, and then I sieved it through an 80 mesh sieve, because it did have a little bit of fine grog in it, and I didn't want that for this. So I've got my slip here. That's all a slip is, isn't it? It's just liquid clay. Okay, so I've got my slip, I've got my brush, but what I need to do is wet my brush. Wet your brushes before you put them in slip, because otherwise the slip will clog in them. Alright, so what I've got to do now, take one of these guys, make sure that the base is pushed down. Now, different ways of doing this, maybe so you can see a bit better, I don't know. I could use one upside down as a chuck, as it were. Okay, now these are getting a little bit dry on the rim, so I'm just going to give them a quick spray. My brush, dipping it in the slip. I'm going to put my finger down the bottom there to keep it. And then I'm just wiping over the outside of the pot. The slip, and I'm going to take it down over the lip and down on the inside about 1.5 inches. Okay, and there he is. Now you're not going to notice, you might just see there where I've taken it down over the edge. He's a bit of a dry fella. I know it's cheating, but well, we have to cheat sometimes, don't we? You could call it cheating, or you could call it ingenuity, creative inventiveness. I don't know. You may just have to daub the brush over it a few times to make sure you've got a decent coverage, you know, because where the stoneware clay is, it's going to come out a sort of a bisque colour, a whitey bisque colour, which we don't really want. I like flower pots to be that nice traditional terracotta red, don't you? It's a kind of way of obtaining a result as if you had a low fire kiln and you were firing terracotta, but you haven't. Dries pretty quick. Dee-dee-dee-dee. I've got a feeling this one is actually a little bit sticking out there. At the moment you can't really notice a lot of difference in colour, but trust me, when they're bisque fired, where I'm doing this, it'll be like more of a bright orange colour. Which is what we want. And I can add now on top of this with white slip, when these are dried a bit, It's lovely working fast, isn't it, with nice weather like we're having, to be able to make things and finish them very quickly. Always like that. Get them dried out thoroughly. Of course, these don't need any glaze, so we just literally make them, and then they finish them. They're out in the sun, and then before long they're in the kiln. Great. That's what we like. Give the slip a stir. Yeah, you do want to take it down like on the inside, below the level of the soil. You don't want to see a stark white line sticking up there above the level of the soil. Something simple about flower pots which I kind of like. It's all to do with the weather, I think. You don't want to be making flower pots if it's raining. But it's nice to do it outside in the sun. Still a bit wet though. Yeah, these ones are not so dry, so they're not. Dee 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 dee. Nice to plant some flowers that you bought or grown, and some seedlings. and put them in flower pots that you've made. Well, one more of that size. Yep, give them a good covering. A slightly bigger one. Of course, it's better to just make them out of terracotta to start with. We know that. Clay is so thirsty that it kind of dries on the brush, you know. Of course, it's too late when it's after it's been fired. Okay. And there's that last one here we were using as the chuck. Yeah, go to my website, simonleachpottery.com, and check out what's going on there. Thank you for all your emails, all of you who write. Thank you. I try to get round to responding to everybody if I can. And if I don't manage to get round to responding to you, please don't take it personally. Okay, there's some of those. Now I'm looking at some of the early ones I did here, and I'm seeing a little bit, maybe a little bit thin on that one. So we'll do that one again. It's easy to now, if I'd had this slip ready earlier, I would have done this earlier before they got so thirsty, I think. Now you can take some white slip and now just also add if you want to, but moderation in all things, I would say. We don't want to draw too much attention to the flower pot. We want to keep it basically fairly plain and simple without too much adornment and fuss. At least that's my way of looking at flower pots. Maybe you're different. Maybe you like a really highly decorated flower pot. Well, so there we are, folks. Yeah, as I said, visit my website and Powwow webcam classes, anybody who's interested. We've got some making a teapot, doing goblets, and I think doing plates. We've got up for over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So if that's something that interests you, you need a webcam, you need a laptop obviously, and a good internet connection. Those are sort of prerequisites. Okay, Simon Leach saying, we'll see you and keep practicing. Bye bye.